Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good! And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good! Okay, well let's learn English together. Knock knock! No, now you're meant to say, who's there? Oh, sorry. Don't you know about knock-knock jokes? No? Well, let me explain. A knock-knock joke is a question and answer joke. And it's the sort of joke which gives other jokes a bad name. A knock-knock joke is a pun. And now you're all sitting there wondering what a pun is, aren't you? Well, a pun is a joke which uses the fact that there are different meanings to a word or the fact that there are words which sound similar. Let me give you an example. This one always used to confuse me when I was a kid. I just couldn't understand why people thought it was funny. It took me years to understand what the joke was. See if you can spot it faster than me. And I'm sure you can. After all, it took me years of dedicated study. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. So, do you get it? Can you see where the pun is? Yes, that's right. In the second part, the part which I failed to get, the bit I failed to understand, the joke isn't using flies as the present simple form of the verb to fly. This isn't the third person singular form of the verb to fly in the present simple. No. No, this is connected to the first word, fly, not the verb to fly, but the insect. The little things that fly about the place and irritate you. These things. Now, that's a house fly, and these are another sort of fly. Those were fruit flies. Do you get it? The joke is because it looks like we're talking about fruit flying, but we're not. The pun is there because the verb to fly and the insect, a fly, can be confused, just the same as the third person singular form of the verb and the plural of fly. Flies and flies. The pun exists because in the first part of the sentence we say that time flies like an arrow. We're comparing the speed of time passing to an arrow, whizzing past, and we all know that arrows fly really fast. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. Okay, so the first sentence is about time flying past, like an arrow, and that means that our brains are thinking about the idea of flight, the noun we get from the verb to fly. So when we get to the next sentence, we automatically see or hear the word flies and assume that this is the third person singular form of the verb to fly in the present simple. Then we look back to see what we're talking about. Fruit. Fruit. Fruit? Fruit flies? What? Fruit is a food. How can it fly? Oh, like in a plane when it's being transported. Is that what you mean? No? What? Hang on. What's the rest of the sentence about fruit flies like a banana? Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. What? You're comparing the way fruit travels through the air to the way that a banana moves through the air? What are you talking about? And then the penny drops, hopefully faster for you than for me. The second sentence is meant to confuse your brain. The first sentence sets the scene and your brain expects the flies part of the second sentence to be the third person singular form, but it's not. No. Here, we're not talking about fruit flying, no. The subject of the sentence is fruit flies, the plural of a fruit fly. Those little flies which gather around bananas and other fruits. Put a bunch of grapes into a bowl in your living room and in a couple of days you'll start to see fruit flies all over the place. So that's the pun. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. Fruit flies is the subject. And the word like is not introducing a comparative. No, like is the verb. They like. Fruit flies like. And what about the object? Yes, the object is banana, a banana. The sentence is telling us what fruit flies like. A banana. That's the pun. The fact that we can confuse flies with flies and like with like. That's the pun. All right, and with that out of the way, and hopefully with less confusion than I experienced when I was a small boy, let's get on with looking at some of the vocab that we heard in the conversation I had with Enid yesterday. Well, for a start, before Enid made it into the studio, there was something that I'm not sure we've seen before. I said that Batman was sulking in the corner. Now, the verb to sulk is one that we normally use with children, although adults can sulk too. But that means that essentially they're behaving like children. When someone sulks, they're in a bad mood and don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to communicate with anyone, all because they're angry or annoyed or disappointed. Think about kids. Think about what they do, how they react when you tell them that they can't have something. Sometimes they scream and shout and cry and dance about like lunatics, and that is what we refer to a child having or throwing a tantrum. It's a temper tantrum. The child can't control their anger, and when you tell them that you're not prepared to buy them another whatever it is they want, they react by showing that they're immature. They can't handle being told no. They can't control their anger, so they shout and scream and cry and try to hit people and things like that. Okay, so that's a temper tantrum. But what we're talking about is something a lot quieter. Think about a situation where your son or daughter is having their friends round for a party. Everyone's getting excited, too excited, especially your child. So you tell them in front of their friends to calm down, to stop being silly. You embarrass them in front of their friends. Okay. We've all been there. You've made your child look stupid in front of their friends. And now, what is your child, what is your son or daughter doing? Yes, now they're doing the opposite of what they were doing. You told them that they were being too loud, too excitable, and now? Well, now they're sitting in the corner, silently. They're not taking part in the party. They're not looking at anyone. They're not communicating with anyone. If anyone asks them a question, they reply with, yes, no. That's it. They're sulking. They're showing their displeasure with the situation by withdrawing themselves from society. That's what Batman does. When he finds himself in a situation he can't handle, what does he do? He goes off on his own, into a corner, and won't speak to anyone. He sulks. Okay, and there was another word too, an adjective, the adjective dizzy. Well, this is an easy one. Imagine or try to remember what happens when you try to take a dizzy penalty in football. Put a ball on the ground, put one of your hands on the ball, and then run in small circles around the ball with your hands still on it. Then try to run and kick another football into the net from the penalty spot. It's very difficult because you're dizzy. Your brain feels like it's spinning round and you can't control your body as a result, like this.
I'm so dizzy, my head is spinning like a whirlpool, it never ends. And it's you, girl, making it spin. You're making me dizzy.
And as we all remember from when we were kids, if we spin our heads around and we run around in circles or look in 345 different directions very quickly, then we might get dizzy and fall over. So that's dizzy, the feeling that your head is spinning and you can't keep your balance. All right, and then we started our conversation with Enid. So what new vocab did we encounter there? Well, we heard a new verb from Enid. She said that she'd thumbed through Rupert's strange magazine. Well, I think it's strange. Bears eating fish in the Wild Monthly. A very specific niche, a very specialized segment of the market. Not everyone's cup of tea. So, back to the verb to thumb. Thumb through something. What do you think? Yes, it's connected to the action we make when we're dealing with pages. That's all it means, to turn over pages. Now, it's quite possible that when you, like me, turn pages in a book or magazine, you use your fingers not your thumb. But that doesn't matter. The verb we use is the verb to thumb through something, not to finger through something. She thumbed through Rupert's strange magazine. When Enid said that she thumbed through Rupert's magazine, she merely meant that she had a look at what was in the magazine. And with the verb to thumb through, there is the idea that we're not really concentrating on the content of the book or magazine or whatever it is. If you're reading a book and you're really enjoying it, like I enjoy P.G. Woodhouse's book, and there, yes, his initials are P and G, and that's a G, not a J. Anyway, if I'm reading a Woodhouse book, then I don't just thumb through it. No, I concentrate on it. I read it enthusiastically. I'm really into it. I'm really enjoying it. If, on the other hand, I go to the dentist, then while I'm waiting for my turn to go into the dentist and sit in the chair, I might pick up a magazine in the waiting room and thumb through it. I might look it over. I might skim through it. I might flick through the pages. I might run my eye over it. I might have a look at it. All of those ideas communicate that I'm not really concentrating on the printed thing that I've got in my hands. I'm just thumbing through it. I'm just having a look at it. Enid did the same thing with Rupert's magazine. She wasn't reading the magazine. She was just idly flicking through the pages. She was thumbing through the magazine. Okay, what else? Well, there was the phrase I used, horses for courses, which is just another way of saying that we're all different. One man's meat is another man's poison. Different people like different things. The reason this phrase is about horses and courses is for two reasons. Firstly, there are different types of race course, and horses are normally trained to run on just one type. If horse A has been trained to ride on a dry course, then horse A won't be very successful on a wet, muddy course. That's all. It's perfectly logical. And the other reason, of course, is that the words horses and courses rhyme. Okay, what else? Well, Enid told me that I'd got hold of the wrong end of the stick, but we've seen that one before. She just meant that I had misunderstood. And then there was the verb to bug. Now, this verb has got a couple of meanings. When we were kids, we used this as a synonym for annoy. My sister would tell me to stop bugging her, and then, later, I'd complain that she was bugging me. But the use of the verb that Enid is talking about is connected to the idea of an electronic bug. Not an insect, but a listening device someone hides in your home to hear what you say and do. If the government think that you're selling secrets to to the North Koreans, then the secret services will bug your house. They'll hide listening devices in your house and listen to what you're doing, who you're talking to, what you say, things like that. Now, I used a phrase which should be simple to understand. I said that I thought she was using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Okay, so what's a nut? Oh, come on, you must be kidding. Peanut, walnut, Brazil nut, pecan. Nuts are fruits with hard shells. And how do we get the fruit out? Yes, that's right, we have to crack the shell. Now, normally we do this with a nut cracker. But if someone uses a sledgehammer, one of these, so a hammer we wield with both hands, so something we create a huge amount of force with, if you're using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, then you're going over the top. You're using too much, more than is necessary. You're expending a whole load of energy pointlessly. Enid is using cloak and dagger tactics to get information from Rupert. But she could just ask him. It'd be much simpler. All right, and on that note, it's time for me to leave you for the day. But don't worry, I'll be back almost before you know it. Yes, that's right, people. I'll be back on your screens tomorrow. Same time, same channel, same studio. Only the day will be different. It's not going to be today, but tomorrow. Don't forget that. It's a very important detail. All right, I'm off home. Coffee time! And as for you lot, well, it must be time for you to get some chores done, or maybe it's time for you to have a snack. I don't know, you do. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow. See you later. www.mediaclick.hu. Bye!